I was born into a Christian household, and my parents are here. And I suppose being in that blessed and privileged position, not a lot of people get that. And I have great relationship with my family. And I went to church every Sunday without fail. I prioritized church. I had the option of playing what we would call football, soccer, on a Sunday, or going to church. A lot of my friends picked to play the sports, but my parents did a great job in putting the values of the importance of local church into me. And I remember I attended it every Sunday. I was there 9 months before I was even born. And somebody liked that one. You can come. She still likes that one. And being a 16-year-old boy who kind of thought he was invincible, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't take drugs, went to church every Sunday without fail, I thought, well, what bad could possibly happen to me? But many of us in here will know that illness, setback, relational breakdown, financial pressure never asks for a polite invitation into your life. And sometimes turns up one unexpected day, and sometimes with devastating effects. And I remember one morning I woke up and I noticed there was a problem with my right eye. And to cut a very, very long story short, I was diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive cancer that was a 3 in a million statistic. I went to a hospital and I saw this big sign above the door. It said Children's Oncology. And I didn't even know what the word meant. I opened back these big wooden doors and it was like walking into some make-believe world. Maybe I'd seen a children's cancer ward in the comfort of my own home, maybe on a news documentary, and I'd certainly have a high amount of compassion, but it's something I could never associate with my own life. Babies from the ages of 3 months having horrible stuff put through their bodies, little boys and girls 5 and 6 years old with no hair and feeding tubes, pulling drips, and I had to be acquainted with the fact that this world of Ward 27 was going to become my new home. Now, I had a choice. I could either go onto an adult's ward or I could go onto a children's ward. The choice was pretty simple. It was either being stuck in a bed between two old guys or having a PlayStation in your room. So I went for the PlayStation. I underwent 6 months of intense chemotherapy, had a line put into my heart where they made a hole in my chest where a line hung out. I, within 2 weeks, lost all of my hair and then had 25 sessions of intense radiotherapy. I was clamped down to a table, unable to move, while high-dose radiation was fired 25 days in a row. I remember there was a little boy on the ward who I got good friends with, and in those days we would play a Game Boy together. On the end of the bed, I'd take my guitar in and I'd play guitar and teach him. And it was close to Christmas time, and this little boy's family were carrying Christmas presents to his room. But it was quite early. I naively got out of the bed. I pulled my drip behind me and asked the nurse what was happening. I saw this little boy laid in his bed. And they said, well, this family are having to do Christmas early this year, Dave, because he may not be around on Christmas morning to open his presents. A few days later, those words became quite true, and that little boy left the world of Ward 27. And when I heard the news, I took some time out privately and I looked over the city and I could see it filled with color and light, and it was getting close to Christmas time, and I saw a pale cancer patient reflection. I cried out to God. I said, God, I believe you're my healer. If I cry, it's the altitude, okay? Remember that. I said, God, if you allow me to live, I will spend the rest of my life telling every single person what you have done for me. And this is part of that promise I made. Now in life, we're given what's known as the facts. The facts are what we see in the natural. The facts were I was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness that attempted to silence. But having a relationship with Jesus Christ, I'm aware of something that's higher than those facts. That's the truth. The facts are the natural, the truth is the supernatural. And the truth is Jesus Christ hung on a cross 2,000 years ago so I could live my life. in complete freedom. The fact said I'd never look the same again. The fact said I'd have damage to the right-hand side of my face. But the truth is, when God designed my body, he designed it to look the way he intended it to look. The fact said that I'd have damage to my pituitary gland and need growth hormone tablets every day of my life. I'm not as tall as John Tesh, but I did carry on growing. The facts are that I would never be able to cry out of my right eye, but I can cry because of the altitude here this morning. The facts said that if I were to live, my life may have some limitations on it. I may never look the same again. I started to think about my future. I thought, would I drive? Would I go to university? Would I ever get married? Who could possibly love me with the titles that were over my life? That was a fact. Now, what I learned to do is I had to face the facts, but I didn't embrace them. I faced the facts, but I embraced the truth. And the truth is, on the 4th of August, 2007, I stood at the front of a church waiting for the most beautiful, amazing bride to walk in. And that day was my wedding day. And I'm very blessed to have my wife here with me this evening, and we would refer to something like this as one hot unit. And I've definitely out of my league. I appreciate all of that, so save those comments. I said to Sarah, Sarah, if you choose to marry me, I believe that is a great decision. However, there are some facts that I need to talk to you about, because we've got to face some facts in this world, haven't we? I said, the facts say that the doctor said I may never be able to have children naturally because of the chemotherapy that's been through my body. When you're a young guy and you'd love to marry this beautiful woman, but then also she is a qualified midwife that delivers babies into the world as a profession, sees new life being born every day, and has a fond love of children. That was a difficult conversation, because we live in a world of mystery. But we live in a world of miracles. And I don't have all of the answers here this morning, but I do know one thing, that if we need to see a miracle in our life, we just present God with the impossible. And having children was our impossible. Now, when I was in hospital, I used to wear a certain t-shirt. There was nothing really special about the t-shirt. I picked it up at a Christian conference and it had my name on the back of it. And the t-shirt went on the journey with me. The prayer teams prayed over the t-shirt. I wore the t-shirt. I'd lay in a hospital bed for about 3 or 4 days whilst horrible stuff was put through my body. And the t-shirt then came into my parents' house when a few days before Christmas Day we got the all clear. The t-shirt then came into my married home, stayed in a drawer out of the way, not to be reminded of the bad stuff, just a reminder of God's grace and what he's done in my life. But the story takes a little bit of a turn. Now, we had to go back to the t-shirt drawer one day. We put the t-shirt into the bag. We went to a hospital. That's what I'm very familiar to doing. But there was something slightly different in this day. It wasn't a day of mystery. It was a day of miracles, because Sarah put the t-shirt on. Many hours later, she gave birth to our first miracle, Jackson. One translation of the name Jackson means God has been gracious and shown favor. The other translation is the son of Jack, so I had to ignore that one completely. We picked the first one. I'm surprised you guys laugh at this every single time. Thank you for doing that. But the Bible says that God always does exceedingly above and beyond what we could ever think, dream, or imagine, and he always gives you double for your trouble. So Jackson needed some partners in crime. And if you look at the next photo, so we have Jackson, Levi, and our beautiful little girl, Maya. I share this with you this morning because many of us will be facing some facts, but the great news is there's something higher. That's the truth, and the truth is Jesus is still in the business of healing 2,000 years on. So I'd love for you to stand to your feet.